Here's the truth. Aging does not mean that you have to decline. One of the big problems of people who get older is that they're unstable and they fall. Once you fall, you can break your hip and then you lose your independence. So you want good muscle strength. Turns out that can help build your muscles and maintain your muscles. This decline in mitochondrial health, we're starting to realize is one of the underlying causes of fatigue and muscle weakness. Actually, it may wind up being underlying a growing number of age-related diseases. People taking their muscle strength increased by 12%, while as placebo group, no change in muscle strength at all. Here's the truth. Most of us don't want to think about losing our energy as we get older. And we've seen plenty of examples, maybe even in your own family, of people who get older and come across as really, really frail. But here's the thing. Aging does not mean that you have to decline. I'm going to start by talking about something called mitochondria. You may have heard about mitochondria already. And if you haven't, I want to tell you, these are little engines that are inside your cells, and they're powerhouses. All right. They're like batteries inside your cell. They generate all the energy that your cell needs, that your body relies on in order to be able to move and to run all the processes in your body. All right. And when the mitochondria are fresh, just like a fresh battery, they can hold and deliver a lot of energy. But as you get older, just like an older battery, all right, those batteries can wear down. They can lose a lot of their power, right? Like old batteries in a flashlight, right? The light isn't so bright anymore, and your energy can start to fade in your body as your mitochondria get older. And when old mitochondria that are not working that well start to pile up, well, guess what? Your body has a hard time actually generating the energy. This decline in mitochondrial health, we're starting to realize is one of the underlying causes of fatigue and muscle weakness. And actually, it may wind up being behind underlying a growing number of age-related diseases. So mitochondria decline, all right? But here's the exciting part. Your body can make a natural substance, it's called Urolithin A, that can help charge your batteries up. It can help your mitochondria perform better. And the way it does it is by cleaning up all the old, broken down, worn out, not so good mitochondria, right? So it's like taking all those old batteries out of your flashlight and tossing them out and adding new ones back in. Clear away the old ones so that you can put in new ones. New healthy mitochondria are going to give you more energy, okay? So that way your body will have more battery power, more energy, your muscles will be stronger, you'll have better endurance. This is all science, right? But it turns out human studies have looked at this, and researchers at the Melons and Swiss Federal Institute of Technology in Switzerland, they did a clinical trial. In fact, they did a randomized placebo-controlled clinical trial by looking at 66 healthy adults, sedentary. So people are not moving around a lot. These are not athletes, okay? Couch potato, let's call it. And they were between the ages of 40 and 64, right in that middle age range. And they asked, what is the effect if you gave these couch potatoes between the ages of 40 and 64 some Urolithin A? Their body makes it by itself. But what if we gave them the Urolithin A to charge them up? So what they did, they gave half of the subjects Urolithin A as an oral supplement, and they gave the other half of people a placebo. They did it every day for 4 months, all right? And the results, striking. In the group that got the Urolithin A, okay, and remember, I told you the body makes it by itself, but in this case, they gave supplements to actually boost the Urolithin A. Guess what? People taking Urolithin A, their muscle strength increased by 12%, while as placebo group, no change in muscle strength at all. So they got 12% extra muscle strength just by taking the Urolithin A supplement. The other thing they did is they actually found that people who were taking the Urolithin A had better walking endurance, right? So think about it. You're going out for a walk on a long sidewalk, okay, or a hike. Eventually, you're going to get tired. Well, walking endurance is how far you can go. And it turns out that people who took the Urolithin A, now remember, all of these people were kind of couch potatoes, sedentary. They did not exercise a lot. Guess what? Urolithin A takers, their walking endurance improved by 60 meters. Now, you might say, what does that mean? I can't picture 60 meters. Well, imagine a 20-story building, 20 stories high, tipped on its side, and walking the length of that building. That's how much more endurance the people with urolithin A supplement actually had. And that makes total sense. If you take urolithin A, it helps to clear out all the old junky batteries so that new batteries can be put in to the body. Guess what? You're going to have fresh batteries, more energy. Now, in the study, the researchers also measured something called VO2 max. I know, it sounds complicated, but I'm explaining to you. VO2 max is basically the maximum oxygen intake that your body can muster. And that's basically how efficiently your body uses oxygen, right? You need to have energy, all right? That's through your mitochondria, your batteries. Then you need to have oxygen to power up things. And guess what? People who took Urolithin A supplement, okay, which clears away all the junk and leaves room for new mitochondria, their oxygen efficiency, their VO2 max, rose by 7% as well. When they looked at mitochondrial health, how healthy were the mitochondria? Urolithin A takers actually had 22% increase in the health of the mitochondria. Makes sense, right? Out with the old, in with the new, 22% healthier. And then the researchers measured something called acylcarnitine. All right. Now, acylcarnitine is a marker of how the body burns fat for energy. All right. And guess what? The acylcarnitine levels dropped by 14%. All right. So urolithin A takers had more efficient ways of using their fat. They didn't actually need to actually burn fat by, pedal to the metal. They could actually take it easy and still have efficient fat metabolism. And that's because they had better mitochondrial function. And then finally, the researchers looked at a blood marker called C-reactive protein. All right, CRP. You might have heard about CRP. It's something that your functional doctor should be measuring. It's a measure. It reflects how much inflammation is in your body. Urolithin A takers, guess what? Their CRP levels dropped by 16%. All right, that means that urolithin A is also anti-inflammatory as well. That's really interesting, right? Well, and the reason I'm telling you is because I was skeptical about urolithin A supplements and mitochondria for a long time. But I'm a scientist, and really a good scientist always starts with having an open mind. So you might be skeptical about something, but let's look at the data. And I just showed you the data. Urolithin A actually improves human parameters that you can measure that reflect better mitochondria and less inflammation. Okay, so without a supplement, I told you your body already makes urolithin A. Where does it make it? Well, it turns out urolithin A is made in your gut. And how does your gut make it? Well, it makes it from food. Foods that contain natural bioactives called elagitannins and ellagic acid, all right? That's ELLAGIC, ellagic acid, or elagitannins is ELLAGITANNINS, elagitannins, all right? This is the starting block to make urolithin A naturally in your gut. So what are the foods that contain ellagic acid and elagitannins? Pomegranate, walnuts, berries, raspberries, strawberries, blackberries. You eat those foods, pomegranates, walnuts, strawberries, blackberries, raspberries, you are feeding your body with the substrate, the starter material for your gut bacteria to make urolithin A. And when you eat them, guess what? Your gut microbiome goes to work, transforms the elagitannins and ellagic acid into urolithin A. That gets into the bloodstream. It circulates throughout the body. And guess what? You wind up actually having more fresh mitochondria, more energy in your body. That is a good thing. What's interesting is that not everyone does this metabolism to create ellagitannin into urolithin the same way. Some people's microbiome are better at doing this than others. But everybody benefits from eating those foods like pomegranates and berries I told you about and walnuts. But you should eat those foods anyway because they deliver other polyphenols and dietary fiber and anti-inflammatory substances that activate your health defenses and lower inflammation. Urolithin A, really important for energy. And if you get it from pomegranate, you can add some pomegranate to your yogurt, for example, or crush up some walnuts and sprinkle it onto your salad. It's a great way to actually get the foods that actually give the starter material for urolithin A. Or one of the things I love to do is just have a bowl of berries for breakfast. I have a cup of coffee, maybe a cup of tea, depends on my mood, but I often go for coffee. Sometimes I'll just fix myself a bowl of berries, and that's pretty much it. If I can get whole yogurt, I'll do that as well. But berries, you can also toss into a smoothie if you want a smoothie as well. Okay. So the other thing is, I told you not everyone's gut bacteria work the same way. Some people are not good metabolizers of ellagitannins, and that's where you can actually get benefit from taking a urolithin A supplement. There's one called Mitopure. If you want more energy, it might be a good idea to take that anyhow. And it's been studied in human studies and shown to boost the mitochondrial function, like the way that I told you about earlier. All right. But this is actually what you want from a supplement. You want to know that it actually works, and clinical trials were actually done. So one of the trials, researchers actually gave Mitopure to older people who took the urolithin A supplement every day for 4 months, or placebo. And these are people who are just average physical shape and endurance. The researchers measured their mitochondrial function at the beginning. Not so good. So they were like suboptimal mitochondrial function. These people were not feeling particularly energetic. They were a little fatigued before they started to study. Then they gave them the urolithin A Mitopure, and after 4 months, guess what they found? The people who took the urolithin A supplement, the Mitopure, had better endurance. They had more energy generated by their muscles. Their mitochondrial function was better in blood tests. And then they actually biopsied their muscle. That's a pretty serious clinical trial. All right. And when they biopsied their muscle, guess what they found? They found that the gene expression, in other words, at the cellular level, that the people who took the urolithin A, they had more mitochondrial genes that were activated as well. That's pretty definitive. All right. And by the way, the urolithin A stimulated mitochondria worked even better if you combine the supplement with exercise. Exercise stimulates your mitochondria as well. All right. So clinical trials works well. It's pretty amazing, I think, for activating your mitochondria. Okay, next, I'm going to tell you how to improve your muscles directly. All right. And the reason that you need to know about this is because, look, after the age of 30, most people start losing muscle mass between 5 to 10%, 3 to 8% of their muscle mass with every decade. All right. That means by the time you're 50, you've probably lost about 20% of your overall muscle mass compared to when you're in your 20s and 30s. All right. And but if you keep on going, 60s, 70s, now you're losing so much muscle mass that you're going to be weaker. So you don't want that. You want yourself to actually have muscle mass, and you want to actually look like people who are able to maintain their strength. Loss of muscle is loss of strength. Loss of strength means imbalance. And one of the big problems of people who get older is that they're unstable and they fall. Once you fall, you can break your hip and then you lose your independence, right? So you want good muscle strength. Really, really important. But there's some good news. It turns out that omega-3 fatty acids, which you can take as a supplement or you can get in seafood, can help build your muscles and maintain your muscles, all right? Omega-3s, these are the healthy fats you find in oily fish, salmon, mackerel, sardines, but you can all find them in all kinds of seafoods, including squid and shrimp, lobster. You can all get crab, all has omega-3s, clams. And if you're a vegetarian or a vegan, you can also get omega-3s from eating plant-based foods like flaxseed, chia seeds, walnuts, soybeans. In that case, you are getting the precursor to omega-3s called ALA that your body will start to create its own omega-3s, right? So we know omega-3s are good for heart health. We know they're good for brain health. Now, research shows that they're good for muscle health as well. So I want to tell you about the research. And this is researchers from the Taipei Medical University in Taiwan. They analyzed all the data from 12 high quality randomized clinical trials looking at omega 3s. All right. In total, in these 12 trials, more than 2,000 adults age 60 and older. All right. And they also were asking the question, people who are eating omega 3s, also known as PUFAs, polyunsaturated fatty acids, was there any connection between the amount of PUFAs or omega 3s they were eating and muscle mass and muscle strength? And here's what they found. The people who consumed the most omega 3s had a 2% increase in their muscle mass, and they had a 4% increase in their hand grip strength. All right. That's a reflection of your overall muscles. And they had a 5 to 6% better performance in the chair rise test. What's a chair rise test? Well, guess what? If you're sitting in a chair and I said, get up, what would you have to do? You would have to push the chair back, then you have to raise yourself up and stand up straight. That actually takes muscle strength. So now you might be saying at this point, 1 to 2% muscle mass improvement, 2 to 4% improvement in hand grip strength, 5 to 6% performance in chair rise test. Doesn't sound very significant, Dr. Lee. Well, it's true. Those percentages are small, but it might not seem like a big deal, but think about it. Hand grip strength isn't just about opening a jar of pickles. Hand grip strength predicts your ability to walk smoothly and not fall, to climb up a set of stairs without losing your balance and tumbling down, and even to be able to live independently. All right. So every bit of mobility, every bit of strength makes you able to be more independent, to walk unaided. You don't need a cane. And guess what they found? These researchers found. They found omega 3s help maintain the muscle, mass, and power. Now, how do omega 3s work? Well, they work in a couple of different ways. One of the most important is that omega 3 fatty acids lower whole body inflammation. When you're inflamed, your whole body, guess what? Makes you feel weak. All right. So this is like more than just affecting the muscle, it affects everything. You're just feeling weaker. So omega 3s reduce the inflammation, which actually makes you come out of your shell, your inflammation shell, to be a little bit stronger. Omega 3s also improve neuromuscular function. Now, your muscles are powered by nerves. Nerves are like the wiring, okay, like the wiring in your wall that activates a machine, the machine being the muscle. But neuromuscular function is a connection between the nerves and the muscle. Omega 3s make that nerve conduction to the muscle to make it contract work better. And omega 3s also turn on more protein synthesis in the muscle itself so the muscle can grow. Muscles are made of protein. You're going to grow your muscle. The muscle needs to make more protein. Omega 3s can actually do that. All right. And by the way, when you do resistance training, you take a protein supplement and then you add omega 3s. All right. It actually powers up. Taking omega 3s will make resistant training or taking protein supplements, protein powders, work even better to maintain muscle mass. So, what are my pro tips for you? My pro tips are eat more omega-rich foods. Salmon, mackerel, sardines. Now, if you want plant-based version of it, of omega-3s, flax seeds. Sprinkle them onto your yogurt or your salad. Walnuts, snacking on them. Those are plant sources of the precursors for omega-3s that your body will make, ALA. The other thing you could do is take a high-quality omega-3 supplement. Okay, you want to get a formula that's rich in EPA and DHA and combine that with exercise. Remember I told you omega-3s with exercise help to build muscle even better, right? So do a little strength training. You can use a resistance band or, lift weights. Make sure that you're getting somebody to show you how to do it properly so you don't hurt yourself. But that will also, along with omega-3s, help you maintain muscle mass. So a lot of people are, really concerned about protein these days. I'm telling you, exercise, omega-3s, also a critical way to be able to do it. That's very, very science-based. When it comes to muscle mass, you want to be proactive and not reactive. You don't want to wait until you lost muscle before you try to build it back. You want to just keep it. Muscle health is the key to longevity and good quality of life. If that's what you want, all right? So anybody tells you getting old means you're going to get frail, not necessarily so. You can keep your muscle mass there and you can actually keep your muscles in a more youthful shape so you can be strong and active into your 70s and 80s and even beyond with omega-3s. All right, finally, I want to share some research that, revealed something that I thought was unexpected. And it's a discovery that I want to tell you about. Melons, cantaloupe, honeydew, even watermelon. All right. Turns out melons can help your body fight fatigue and stress, specifically oxidative stress. And this research comes from a scientist at the University of Montpellier in France. The French are very interested in their melons. They have some amazingly sweet melons grown in their fields. And what these researchers did is they conducted a double-blind, placebo-controlled trial where they tested melon extract. So they grew their beautiful melons. They extracted it. What they found is that melon extract was rich in superoxide dismutase, SOD. You might say, what is SOD? Well, look, SOD is like a fire extinguisher that when you have it in your body, that you can get from eating melons, it'll actually put out the fire from oxidative stress that can damage cells. So think about, chemicals, chemical exposures, ultra processed foods, environmental exposure that cause a lot of extra oxidative stress. These like sparklers going off in your body, damaging cells. Well, guess what? SOD is like the fire extinguisher that puts that out. So what you want to do is you want to actually neutralize the oxidative stress, which can cause fatigue and cause cellular aging, and you want to neutralize it with SOD. Okay, so in this clinical trial, the researchers gave the participants melon extract every day for 4 weeks, or they gave them a placebo. And here's what they found. In the melon eaters, in their body, the antioxidant defenses, okay, the SOD activity increased by 18% just in 4 weeks. So they got a lot more neutralization of the cellular stress. And in fact, having the melon extract made the oxidative stress go down, which is just what you would expect. And the damage to the proteins in the body also went down by 10%. This is an extract from melons, like a cantaloupe-like melon. So why does this matter? Okay, well, first of all, if you like cantaloupe or other types of melons like me, honeydew, then you're in luck. This is actually good for you. But the other reason is because our bodies constantly put under stress. Aging causes stress. Pollution causes stress. Poor sleep causes oxidative stress. Microplastics that you're eating and drinking from packaged food causes cellular stress. Ultra-processed foods with all those additives causes cellular stress. Everyday wear and tear causes oxidative stress over time that kind of degrades your body, and that chips away at your energy. So if you want to recover, you want to protect yourself against that, guess what? Good news is that eating melon, okay, can help boost your SOD defenses to neutralize all those stressful harms without needing to go to an extreme. What are some of my pro tips from this research? Well, the next time you go to the store, the grocery store, the farmer's market, and you see melons, okay, especially seasonal melons, go ahead, buy one. Cantaloupe, honeydew, I love them. All right, if you're gonna buy a honeydew, what you wanna do is you wanna press the ends a little bit and see if it actually is a little bit soft. All right, when the ripe ones are a little bit soft, then smell it. It should smell really good, like a melon. What I like about melons, they're not particularly sweet, so you're not getting a huge sugar load, and you're getting hydration. Getting hydration is critical to prevent from being fatigued. When you are dry, dehydrated, you're going to be tired. So melons, more than 90% water, packed with vitamin C, anti-inflammatory, all these SOD activators, going to give you more energy. I could eat a melon for breakfast, and sometimes I do. Just cut them up, and you can throw them into yogurt if you like, or just eat them plain. I love to eat just plain, fresh yogurt. Or melon's a great choice for dessert. You don't need to have cake or pie. Go ahead and have some melon. This is what they do in Asia. At the end of a fancy banquet or dinner, sometimes they'll bring out some fruit. Melons are a good choice. By the way, that SOD, that neutralizer of cellular stress, there's other foods that also have it as well, besides melon. Want to know which ones? Spinach, broccoli, and green tea also have SOD activity for your body as well. Staying strong as you age isn't just about lifting weights. It's about what's happening inside your body from your mitochondria. You want the mitochondria, old ones to be out, new ones to come in, give you that cellular energy. You want to lower inflammation because inflammation makes you tired. And you want to actually neutralize cellular stress and activate your health recovery systems so that you can actually be energetic as you age. All right. Now, if you found this video helpful, hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and forward this to somebody that you feel would find this super useful, and maybe you can help them with their own health. So I will see you in the next video. Dr. Lee out. Hey, if you like that video, then you're going to love this one. Check it out.